Hello everyone. Today we have Phyllis and Victor Merriam from the Post Digital Printmaker, and they're going to be joining us today, and here they are. For the past few days I've been posting their prints from their portfolio, and it's so exciting to have them here today talk about their collaborations and the portfolio. And welcome. Hello. I think your sound is off. There you go.
Okay, you can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good.
So
well, thanks so much.
Phyllis and Victor and the Post Digital Printmaker, and we would love to hear about several things. You are married and you collaborate, you share a studio together, and you've been working on this portfolio for 6 months. So you've got a lot to tell. So would you like to take it away?
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting us to share this portfolio. But I'll give you a little history of us working together, because it's been over 10 years already that we've been working together as artists. And we haven't killed each other yet, so that's a good thing. But everybody always wants to know, like, how do you work together? Like, do you actually sit and do everything together? So we have different strengths. And Victor's the technology person. I could be more hands-on. And a lot of times we put things back and forth. If we do any writing together, we definitely do it that way. One person writes it, gives it to the other person. And because sometimes we're on panels and we have to, decide what we're going to say. So I'm going to start with how our process works, because what we do is we might start with a photo, 10 photos, 50 photos, and put them together. Victor might collage them together. He might take pieces out of it. Or we might start with something more concrete. Now lately, because of COVID, I've been making these little books. Yeah, these little books, and exploring my relationship and what I think of different artists. This one is Bury. There was a Bury exhibit in the Met, in MoMA, maybe the Guggenheim, I'm not sure, a few years ago, and we bought the book. So I spent a lot of time looking at the book, and I made like a lot of collages and things. So then I did the same thing with Louise Nevelson, because I've had a lot of time on my hands. So lately, once the Omicron variant came and I saw I was stuck again, I decided to make a little book by cutting things out of the newspapers and just getting ideas. And then I didn't even show it to Victor. And then we were invited to be part of an exchange portfolio for the Southern Graphics Conference this year that's going to be in Madison, Wisconsin. What it is 18 artists get together, and what they do is they each make an edition of prints, and each artist gets a copy of that edition, and then SGCI keeps it. And in this case, Madison, Wisconsin, the university will keep it, and it's displayed as a show during the conference. So we really didn't know what we were going to do as an image, and we've been so cooped up that Victor started looking through my book, and he saw this image in the book. It would be great. So we have some others that we're debating what to do. We decided we take 2 images like this and mount them on a piece of paper. So this is how our process works. So that we started with this picture. So then we were thinking, how are we going to scale it up and what are we going to do? So the first thing we thought about is the pants. That's the major element. So we made, what we do is 3D printed plates. This is a 3D printed plate. And that will make the pants. And then we made a mock-up of, this is just made on a digital printer on mulberry paper, and how we were going to make this element. So this is one element. This is a digital print, this is digital, and this is going to be a 3D printed plate onto mulberry paper. And they're going to be collaged together. And there's going to be another piece, I'm going to partner with this, and they're going to be together. So this gives you an idea. So, we go through a lot of iterations. So now I'm going to get to why we're doing Anni Albers. Now, we always loved Anni Albers and all the Bauhaus artists and all the female. I have tons of books about them. And last fall, when we were, not last fall, I'm writing this because when the portfolio was done, it took us 6 months to do it. It was, I guess, the fall of 2019, right? Yeah, it was the fall of 2019 that we went to David Zwirner, and he had an exhibit of Anni Albers' work. And what she had was these swatches. And they were mounted in a cabinet, and Victor took a lot of photos. And what we do is we take a lot of photos, and then Victor just has 20,000 photos or something, and we just look at them periodically, and we put them aside. So he had taken those pictures, and we really liked it. It was a great exhibit. But then we went to MoMA, and they had Taking a Thread for a Walk, which was a Bauhaus artist exhibit, and they had Anni Albers' work. We're thinking, boy, look at that. Then we went to Chicago, we went to the Art Institute, and they had Weaving Beyond the Bauhaus. And that was the third exhibit in like 2 months that we saw Anni Albers. So we decided that she was calling to us, and that we were going to explore her work.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, we said, we're going to challenge ourselves, and we're going to make a portfolio, and we're going to actually put it in something really nice. And we said, we put that thought aside. Then COVID happened, and we were all, forced into our isolation. And we couldn't work in the Manhattan Graphics studio where we were with big presses any longer because it was closed. And we had bought a small proofing press. So we decided that we'd make everything small, and especially this portfolio, and we would be able to print it ourselves. So we started experimenting with that. And we just had a lot of challenges along the way because we kept trying things out, but we had so much time that originally there were 12 prints that we considered. Two other prints that are not included, we actually did editions of, and then we didn't include them in the portfolio because we just didn't think it was a good flow. So this portfolio that you're going to see now is the culmination of all these ideas. So now we're going to start showing you
show the
portfolio first. Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that we wanted to do was we had never made an actual portfolio before, and so again we had a lot of time, so we decided that would be an interesting thing to try. And we happened to find on the on YouTube a series of videos by Sage Reynolds where he went through step by step how to make a portfolio. So we followed that, and we made this portfolio to hold the edition, which was an interesting challenge for us. It's hard to show, but it was kind of neat just to do that. And it was kind of neat just to make, how many did we make?
We made 6.
We made 6 of them.
That's impressive for your first portfolio.
Well, the whole edition is 6. We probably, we thought we were going to make more boxes, but we knew the edition was 6, and we made the first 6 boxes came out.
Yeah.
Only one we had to take apart at the very beginning, and then that was it.
Okay.
So now this first piece we started probably before COVID, thinking about it. Because in this piece, we were trying to represent the fact that Anni Albers really incorporated new things into her practice. When new materials became available, she was interested in them. And we felt like, if you could see it close up.
Oh, yeah, great view. It's beautiful. So is this a 3D plate? Or are they all
we're going to show you.
Awesome.
So we decided if she were alive and she had a 3D printer, she'd be interested in it. So we decided that we would look at the swatches. Remember the original swatches from the David Zwirner exhibit? One of them, they were created in 1948. And many of them included Lurex. Lurex was a laminated metallic fiber that was developed in 1946. So this interplay between this industrial material and the natural jute fibers that she used created a dynamic that we wanted to portray. So we did this by printing red fibers against the neutral background. So for this print, we overprinted 3 plates. two 3D printed plates.
I'm going to show them.
Which Victor's going to show. One for the red and one for the black.
So this was the one that we used for the black. Back here.
Mm-hmm. And we print those, you know, we roll them and put them in the press.
And,
so they,
yeah. And this is the one that we used for the red.
So those were the lines.
Wow.
You know, the going through it.
Yeah, and then we had one that was just a color plate, a flat one for the flat.
The print is so sculptural and dimensional. Is it embossed?
It is. Well, because of the plate has real dimension to it.
Yeah.
You can't really see it here. But yeah, it embosses the plate, and that's actually sometimes there's issues with that because it hangs up on the paper. Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of problems because it could rip the paper, it could crease the paper. So we went through a lot of paper. We should have given you those prints for your sculptures. We had a lot of them.
Our next collaboration. Hold on to them.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, go on. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So the next print, Albers was very interested in grid structures, and she did a lot of her weavings in grid structures. And she really, within that, developed a whole set of the complex vocabulary of shapes that she would put into this grid and come up with all of these wonderful textiles. So she had one that was called Open Letter. I don't have an example of that.
Yeah, but it was a weaving that she did in 1958.
And so what we did again is made another 3D printed plate. And this is, I should have held it up. This is the print. And again, this is the detail.
Oh, that's amazing.
Of the print. Wow. So a lot of these shapes you can see are repeated in different ways inside the grid. And the grid is just a fixed grid of these squares, and they're either multiples of the squares. So the bigger ones are multiples of the smaller squares. And so that, this part, it's hard to do. Yeah, so that's kind of the big ones, and these are the small ones. So
this was printed on, mulberry paper, which we crumbled up, and then we mounted it onto.
I don't know if you can see that, but the paper itself is not attached to
Oh, I see.
It would be so nice if we could show you in person.
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh, so where the plate? Oh, there's the plate.
So did I show the plate? No, I didn't show the plate. So this is actually a better representation of the plate. This is the plate that we used for that. Embossed. So there's a big sculptural component to the print. Plate itself, I thought was pretty cool.
How long does it take to print the plate? I mean, to produce the plate, not ink it.
To actually print the plate in the printer? It could take anywhere between, let's say, 45 minutes and an hour and a half, depending on the thickness of the plate and the size of the plate. It's a fairly quick process. I mean,
the beauty of it is it costs like $1 as opposed to a copper plate. Or
one thing that we love about these plates is that you can make a lot of tests because the plate itself is not expensive, and the printer's printing it. So we have several of them. We have this plate that we tried. We have this plate that we tried. So depending on how it works, so we can do a lot of experiments, which was really cool for Anni Albers because she did a lot of experiments as well.
And sometimes we'll even, something's wrong with the plate, we could take an X-Acto and just fix it. Just take out what we don't like or cut out what we don't like and put something else in. Just cut the plate.
Do the plates ever break down? Do they break down after like 20 prints or anything like that?
No, we haven't noticed that actually.
And we've done editions of more than 20.
They really hold up.
But the good part is you can just print a new one.
And that's the other thing is you have
exactly
to print
the
it.
same.
Down, you just make another one. And again, the cost of the plastic is low, so they don't really cost anything to make. Okay, which one are we doing?
This one.
Okay, so why don't I hold it up and then you can do it?
Okay.
Because otherwise they're gonna.
Okay, let's look at this print. In this print, Anni Albers explored knots. She did a lot of knot drawings in the 40s, in the 1940s, and as a printmaker later. Yeah, later on in her lithographs. So in these drawings and prints, the threads run free of any grid structure and they loop back on themselves, and it seems very random. While she was at Black Mountain College, she was exposed to their to formal topological principles that included knot theory. Now, we don't know what her ideas were, but we wanted to relate her fascination with knots and the formal mathematical structures of the underlying design by creating these linear shapes in a loose grid structure. So that was our reference to her. And this one, we tried many different ways. This one went through a lot of iterations. And we made this print by overprinting 2 3D printed plates, and the background was hand-colored. A lot of times we'll do that. We'll just watercolor around. And that was done by hand. Okay. So now I'll show you the plates.
Now we'll show you the plates. So the one thing that we like about these 3D printed plates is depending on how you print them, you can get a lot of different effects. So this was printed in a different way, and you can see this is obviously the violet one, and then this was the other one to make the 2 shapes. And you see they're much more
very airy looking. They were able to just get a lot of
more strokes and open.
Yeah.
And they're all printed in relief. Do you do any intaglio at all with the plate?
No, we don't.
We have these in this one. I think it's all relief. We have done intaglio. We've done actually viscosity prints using the 3D printed plates.
We printed that. Actually, we wrote an article for Printmaking Today, and we did it with the master printer Vijay Kumar from Manhattan Graphics, who's master of doing viscosity printing.
Oh yeah.
And he felt we could do it, so we did it. One of the last things we did at Manhattan Graphics was to actually do that. To actually print a viscosity. Okay, now this next print that we're doing, Anni Albers liked to build a whole out of single elements. So in her Meander series, she used a single pattern screen, and she rotated and repositioned to create evocative multi-layered prints. So this is our idea of how to do it. And we wanted to use her triangle, the triangles that she used as a mechanism to build shapes in a rectangular grid. So what we did was we used 3 digitally cut stencils, which we use a CNC cutter to actually cut plastic out and make stencils. And what we did was we used the stencils as a mask, and we spray painted book cloth, because we thought this is the same book cloth that we used for the portfolio. That would be a nice way to bring everything together. And red is such a Bauhaus color that we decided to use that as the background, and silver spray paint and black spray paint. And that's how this print was produced.
That is gorgeous.
So, and that was like such a revelation to us that we can use spray paint. And we do that on another piece. Now we're coming up to one of my favorite pieces in this portfolio. It's called November 1933.
Let me show you the stamp.
Yeah, and it has different parts to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can see it has, okay, why don't you show the parts? Okay.
So yeah, it's layered.
Oh, it flips. I didn't know that.
It's held up like a swatch.
This is the base layer.
Okay, so Joseph and Anni Albers came to the United States in November of 1933, after the forced closure of the Bauhaus. So this print is a collection of swatches. It reflects the pervasive atmosphere of intolerance and repression that they fled from. And it's so amazing to me that they could flee this, end up coming to the United States, go to Black Mountain College, and just pick up and become the great artists that they continue to be. So the base layer is a dry point, which is the base layer, just which is overlaid. We wanted to give it a burnt look. So what we did was we print milk, and then we burn it. The milk burns and it turns brown. We learned that from the artist Esther Zeker. She does a lot of work with that, and it works really nicely.
So
and
you use milk as like an ink, and then you put a flame over it, and then the milk burns and stains the paper?
No,
be careful when you do it.
Yeah, we use a hot gun. Don't try this at home.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get these kind of stains.
You get the yellow.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Right. So that is, and then the next layer is a pigment offset from a historical image of barbed wire. So that's
and that kind of looks like a fabric in and of itself.
Yeah, because it's on that kind of.
Except it's made from an image of barbed wire.
Yeah. And the next layer is an etching, and they're etchings. And then the tag is the acquisition label that they often put on swatches, which is an inkjet print, which is the red, which is overlaid, and that's burnt milk to make it look old. And that's the date. And it's November 1933, because that's when she came. They both came here. So that was my favorite. Okay.
That was beautiful. So they're thin mulberry papers that you're printing and then stapling it as the label, as a swatch.
Yeah. Right. So wow. Well, it wasn't really a staple. It was.
We made the staple.
We made the staple to look like at a watch. It's not really a staple.
It's not a staple? It just looks like a staple
in the sense it is a staple, but it's not a staple from a staple gun. It's a staple that we made to go on.
Oh. Well, it worked.
Yeah.
Okay, now then, as we started exploring Anni Albers, everywhere we looked, we saw weavings on the side of buildings. And this was a damaged chain link fence. So when we saw that, we said, wow, how could we represent this? So what Victor did was he used his photo of this, and he created a 3D printed mask. So you can see when you 3D print, it doesn't have to have a background.
Right.
It could be...
So this was just a mask.
Oh, that's
the
printed 3D?
3D printed.
It's a 3D printed. Yeah, it's 3D
so
printed.
It's a photograph of a chain link fence and then printed
3D.
As a 3D plate. And then you ink that up?
No,
it's the reverse. You use that as...
And then we use it as a mask.
Embossing.
And we spray painted.
Oh.
Over onto a piece of paper. We masked it off and then spray painted.
It's like a mezzotint. Yeah, it's really, if you saw it in person, it has like a shadowy and coming in. It's really, and we managed to make 6 of them that are the same, which we thought we'd never be able to do, but.
Yes. I don't know if you can see the spray paint. It's hard to tell.
I didn't know it was spray paint. I was wondering how you did that one because of the shades.
Well, thank God Blick stayed open during this, and we went there and just looked at materials just to experiment with because we just had. Okay, now this number 7. We always admired the architecture for prints, how she was weaving to architecture. That the idea that a textile was what she called a pliable plane, and like architecture, weaving is, by its very nature, produces an integral structure that's intrinsic to the overall surfaces, forms, and colors that we see. So we made 2 CNC cut plates that we overprinted onto each other.
Yeah, and these, here's one of them. Yeah.
See, they're cut out of plastic and they're on a CNC cutter.
So we just inked these, and then we overlaid one on top of the other.
And put them in a press. And we put them in a press.
Yeah, put them in a press, printed them sequentially. Here's one. Here's the other.
So these are much thinner than the heavier.
Yeah, these are
very
thin. These don't really.
Do they emboss at all?
No, not really.
No. Yeah, not really. These are pretty flat. And then the last print in the series was a print that we first did in 2015. I took a photopolymer course, actually with Christina Pumo, who taught it at Manhattan Graphic. And this was one of the plates that I made when I was working with her. And we used this plate as part of a gridded Manhattan landscape. Because we had this whole, we did 16 prints, 16 plates printed simultaneously called Manhattan Landscape. And this was an element in it. And when we saw her drawings of these lines, we said, this looks like that. So when we went back and looked at it, we said, we have to include that in the portfolio. So we included it in the portfolio, and that we decided, that's why we eliminated the other two, because when we put all these 8 together, we felt like we told the story we wanted to tell, and everything else was just extra information. We decided not to include it. And that's how this came to pass. And it's funny, we've been in touch with the Anni Albers Foundation, and we told them about the portfolio, and we were hoping that we could get there one day and go there and do some more research and maybe make a large piece when COVID was over. But so far, we haven't been lucky enough to be able to do such a thing. But that's
there's
the
still
story.
time.
So yeah, well, there's plenty of time. So does anybody have any questions? Do you have any anything you want to say, Susan? Anything else you want to know about our
gorgeous portfolio? And I'm amazed at that diversity of not only the technique, but every element that you've done. You really spent a lot of time exploring. So when you were working on that, did you go back and forth on the same plate and the image, or did you one do the image and then you the other one printed it, or how did you go back and forth with so many different images?
Well, I guess it was different depending on the image. I mean, some of them, because we said that the plates are easy to redo, we did some proofing, and in some cases just decided to redo the plates like these. We printed a few of the plates to find the composition that we liked the best, because we could actually do that. Some of them, like the one with the fence, was just, you had to do it quickly, because if you didn't do it, so we got it the way we wanted it. It came out, and then I just sprayed them like as quickly as I could. So everything would be exactly the same. Nothing would warp. The wind wouldn't come. Yeah, because
if there's wind in spray paint, it looks different. But the thing about working together with Victor, I have to stop him, because he could go on and on and on. So I have to say, we stop now. So that's really my...
So this print really was a lot of Phyllis's work. In terms
of
Phyllis made
these
the
were
initial
etchings.
plate.
These etchings, these little etchings, when I was working in Manhattan Graphics, I really had never taken an etching course. So this is everybody's scrap, these little pieces of copper that everybody cut off when they were trimming their plates. And I did a lot of experiments. And that's why I thought, oh, these were my experiments. It's perfect to be a swatch for an Anni. So that's what these were.
And kind of this one was a collaboration in the sense that Phyllis picked the fabric, and then we did the shapes together. So yeah, generally a collaboration depending on the print. We did different things, but it was mostly just like going back and forth.
So when she says stop, Victor, do you stop?
She's very forceful.
It's on, and then it loses that spontaneity. It loses that sense of discovery that we're trying to get people to.
In the end, I know she was right. Let's put it that way.
So that's great. Story.
Well, if anyone has any questions, type it into the comment, and we can answer any questions that you may have.
And Haida, I see lots of friends in there. Haida.
Yeah.
I feel like it's sort of sad.
I'm virtually waving to everyone for you with my thumb. Oh, well, it's really an amazing portfolio. So what's next? Do you have another plan for another artist, or?
I wouldn't say. I've been experimenting with a lot of surface technique, different techniques and different things that I've been layering papers and things like that. And that's what we're going to, that's why we're doing this portfolio, the image for the portfolio that way. And we've also been doing some 3D work, which we've been making sculptures, which we do together, which is really like this sculpture. this is a bowl that Victor actually made, a paper mache bowl. You can't see the inside; it's gold inside. Victor
it's
made
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Victor made the paper mache bowl, and these are all papers that I just make. And then we cut them and put it, and we just piece it on like a quilt. Because I got very making little watercolors of quilts, and then I started just making a lot of these, and we just collaged them onto this together. And then I said, wow, if I could do this, just get those things over there. I started making layers, and then I started just trying to get different surfaces. So I've been doing a lot of experiments with that, and I want to do some big pieces. And, I'm also getting into cutting things out of the papers and maybe getting into some statements of how I feel about life, not just things that aren't, but see, these are just some layerings that I've been experimenting with. So I think that's like our next path is just.
They're collages?
They're collages,
okay.
Yeah. They're collages.
Nice.
Yeah, they're collages. And this
we
one
have
just
one
is a
question.
date.
There, are you using the acrylic spray paint? Or what type of spray paint?
We are.
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay.
That's what we have. We are using acrylic. We try to use the most non-toxic that we can. So some of the times we use the Akua inks, and sometimes we use the Akua inks on one of our layers. Like a lot of times we do things and then we'll use, because they have different properties, the oil-based inks and the Akua inks.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've been doing, and we've done some experiments actually with P.D. Packard on making papers using the Akua pigments. So that was when we went to P.D.'s studio, but we haven't been able to follow through with that, where we made these multi-layered papers where Victor cut forms out using this type of a material, and then we were using that to make papers with the pigments. Where we're at, sort of.
Well, that was wonderful. Really learned a lot. So much going on technically and visually. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed seeing the variations in the very graphic. I could see Victor's sensibility is very graphic, and then yours is soft, and you're using the thinner papers and the more transparent overlays, and it's such a nice combination to see you work together, and how that works. Nice contrast for the softness and the more hard edge line. I love it. So
thank you. It's good up until the point where we get into a big fight and we have to put it on, because then we have to look at each other. It's sort of sad, but then we manage. When we have the worst fight, that means the piece is almost done. We just have to iron out a few details. But thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to be able to share this work.
Yes, thank you. I really, really loved seeing it, because I've been looking at these images just flat. I had no idea that they moved, that they were stapled together with a staple that you made that looks like a real staple. It was really beautiful. So thank you so much.
Well, this brings us back to Beyond 72 DPI, which is a portfolio we curated, which we didn't know about COVID, where we're all forced to look at things in this manner, without really seeing the work. So it's always so different when you see the work in person. Like your show is a case in point that seeing it in person, I hope everybody gets over to the Atlantic Gallery to see it, because you can't appreciate it until you see the work in person.
Well, it's nice that we have this virtual life right now. So, it's a surprise to see something later, but it's really fortunate that we do stay in touch virtually. And so is Southern Graphics still doing their conference this year? Or are they going to have the exchange portfolio happening? Right?
Yeah, they say they're going to hang them all. What they do is they hang them for the week.
Okay.
Or whatever, have 4 days
and they'll
of
post
conference.
And that will be posted?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me know. I would love to see that virtually.
Yeah, I'll post that whole show onto thepostdigitalprintmaker.com. I'll put the show on as a show when it goes up. All right.
right.
Take care.
Take
so
care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
If you're just coming in late, I'm going to be posting this. Just takes a few minutes so you can see it from the very beginning. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks so much
Victor.
for everybody who joined in. Take care.
Okay. Take care.